In our fifth video on misunderstood texts of the Bible, I wish to attack a rather difficult and much debated passage of the Bible where the Apostle Paul says, "What shall they do which are baptized for the dead?" And the following phrase, "I die daily." This is found in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 29 to 32. This passage is assumed to be talking about a ceremony of being water baptized on behalf of people who are already dead, simply because the word baptized is used. That must be a water ceremony, right? And then in the next verse, the phrase, "I die daily," is believed to mean that Paul puts to death the sinful desires of the flesh each day, which makes no sense following what he just said. What does denying your sinful lusts have anything to do with a water ceremony for the dead, if indeed that's what these verses mean? Well, again, the answer lies partly in taking those verses out of context, and partly because of the word baptized, and mostly by a misunderstanding of the Greek word being used here. Now, I grant you that the wording here is strange, but if we let the context define the meaning, it'll become clearer. First, let us understand the broader context of this chapter. Paul has been defending resurrection from the dead, both Christ's and the believers. He starts the chapter by mentioning all those who saw the resurrected Jesus. Then he questions why some at Corinth are saying there is no resurrection of the dead. He then says, if there is no resurrection, then they are still in their sins. In other words, their sins are not paid for. And believers who are dead have perished. He continues, if in this life only we have hope, we are of all men most miserable, or most to be pitied. Then Paul mentioned the order of the resurrections, which is a parenthetical point he makes, temporarily interrupting his train of thought about if there in this life only we have hope. So verses 20 to 28 are Paul going off on a tangent, so to speak, and then he returns to his subject in verse 29.